Hey guys, welcome back. Julio Delafitte here. It is fantastic. I have Geoff as my Geoff Wilson as my guest today, and we're going to be talking about Antarctica. Geoff, I heard that you broke a bunch of records in Antarctica. But before we talk about the records, like what were you doing in Antarctica? Tell us a little bit about.
Julio, it was a crazy mission, basically.
Yes.
I had a friend suffering breast cancer, and her plight really touched me. And I imagined an adventure that would really showcase her breast cancer journey and also raise awareness for young women in Australia to be more breast aware. And the image in my mind was a big set of pink boobs on the biggest ice sheet in the world, Antarctica.
Oh wow, that would definitely bring in some attention to the issue, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it really did showcase, the issue in Australia and globally. And what ended up happening was we raised a lot of money, a lot of profile for the McGrath Foundation.
Yes.
Who provide breast care nurses for women Australia-wide.
Oh wow.
By dragging a set of boobs from one side of Antarctica right through the South Pole and then out the other side. And that journey's only been completed by 3 men, myself and 2 Norwegians ahead of me. It's the toughest expedition I've ever done by a long way.
Oh wow.
Because, it's a long distance, 3,500 kilometres.
Wow.
And temperatures down below -50.
I can't conceptualize -50.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cold that will create panic because you breathe in and you feel it damage your lungs. You know that if you stop moving, you can get hypothermic and die very quickly. So it takes time to get used to that environment, get used to that mentally.
Wow, it's an environment that would really be challenging for humans. If humans just there, it'd be very tough to survive.
It is, and as you gain altitude, as you're coming up,
Right.
the edge of the continent is basically a climb and then a long flat plateau. And that plateau is between 9,000 and 13,000 in elevation, feet
Oh, wow.
above sea level. So you're very high, you're very cold, and the air's thin at the poles. So in effect, you're higher than you really are in your altitude. So it's a tough place to be, but with the right preparation, and that's part of what we want to go through with the Unstoppables Club is the right mental attitude, the right preparation. Any challenge can be beaten.
Absolutely. I'm so happy that you are here and we're talking about this because Unstoppables has taken 117 entrepreneurs to Antarctica. And when we start talking about Antarctica, no pun intended, but what a cool place to be. And to have you, who broke world records, being one of the champions for the cause of the Unstoppables, is just such an incredible moment for us, right? But let's keep you. Now I'm totally intrigued. So you knew these things before you went there, and now you're like, what happened? So you got on the island and you go like, man, I'm gonna go across here now. And tell me a little bit about the days and how did you survive those extremes and.
Winding back a little bit, what ended up happening was we took a mould of my darling wife's breasts and then built a sled from those breasts. So basically, I was pulling what we called the boob sled, not the bobsled.
Right.
And it was this bright pink sled.
That's great.
So it was a crazy idea to start
Yes.
with. But the problem with a little bit of comedy attached to such a serious journey was that if I failed early, people would have assumed I was a madman from the first place. So there was this tension early that I had to make sure I succeeded.
Yes.
Otherwise, the thing that we were using to raise breast awareness would end up clubbing me as being an idiot, being the comedy.
Wow. So not only is it's the physical challenge, the mental challenge, but now this pressure in what you're representing as well as a tailwind on the whole entire conversation.
And the point where you realise you're in very deep is when the plane lands on the edge of Antarctica on the South African side.
Right.
It's the furthest distance from the pole, so you're 2,500 kilometres from the South Pole. The door of the aircraft opens and this intense cold at well below -30 at that point comes in. You take your first step onto the ice, unload your gear, check your gear, 2 hours later the plane is gone and you're by yourself on the edge of the continent with a long way before you're going to see someone. At that point you realise you know, if I'm not 100% committed to this, if I'm not completely sold out, if I'm not completely all in, there's just no way that I'm going to get through this.
Geoff, this is beautiful. You see, even the conversation about all in life, often we go about things and we have this kind of choice, right? Oh, I'll only commit 50%, 60%. But when you're there and the plane is gone, it's like, it's all in, baby. It's game on.
Yeah, there's no way home.
You know? And how many, I can just see how many people being inspired, people in leadership, in business, in family, mothers, fathers, you know, and it's like, thinking, man, I'm all in. Just listening to you right now and positioning myself there with you in my imagination, I'm thinking, oh my God, I have got to get going.
And that's the exciting thing about it. It's not that I'm built, you know, like a big Greek statue. I'm not 100 kilos of muscle. All of my strength is mental strength, and that's the key. I can pass that on. So through some very simple mental strategies,
you can actually teach others.
Can teach others, and it you know, it speaks to the single mum at home battling with raising a child and dealing with day-to-day life, all the way through to the CEO of a big company. These principles work across the board, and the exciting thing for me is to see the lights come on in people's eyes.
Yes.
When you apply that same all-in approach that got me across the biggest ice continent on Earth.
Oh wow. I'm glad we are, because now there's two conversations floating. It was like what happened while you were there and you started your journey, but there's another one now that is like behind it, really expanding really fast as we talk, which is the all in, the commitment, you know, like and now you just said, I can teach others to do this. I am so glad that you have joined us on the Unstoppables, because I am sure that entrepreneurs and their families and people in business, they will want to know this. And in reality, most of them have, otherwise they wouldn't be who they are. But just to be able to checkpoint what they already have with what you brought to the game, not only went across, but you know, there was world records that you smashed it because you had the mental attitude, right?
Yeah,
and just to be able to line up all these conversations, it's just I'm feeling inspired right now. I want to be a better guy just because we're having this conversation.
Oh, it's exciting. It's super exciting, like, because of the fact that it's transferable.
Yes.
It's not that I'm a super athlete. It's just simply that I have a tenacity that's been learnt from small dreams being realised, bigger dreams being realised, and then this all-in approach being put across everything in your life, home life, business life, and your adventure life. It's so important to have an adventure life.
Oh, wow. So, Geoff, let's talk a little bit about when did your beliefs and when did you get challenged? Because I know somebody did tell this story that you started on the journey and then a few things came up, right? And really challenged, what am I doing?
Oh,
right?
Definitely.
Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'd still consider myself an entrepreneur. I love business. I love growing business. I love turning businesses around. But when you apply the adventurous mindset to that, and entrepreneurs are risk takers, as are adventurers, but it's all about risk management. And when you apply the adventure mindset to entrepreneurship, it gets real exciting. And for me, it's about enjoying what you're doing is relying on you having dreams and drives and focus. And I think what the Unstoppables Club is about is getting a whole bunch of like-minded men and women together and infecting each other with this mindset that's just unstoppable.
Unstoppable, become unstoppable. Mental attitude, you know, the planet right now has some real challenges, you know, inside of those challenges there's some real opportunities. And I do believe it's the entrepreneurial mind that will look at it. You know, if we're looking for governments around the world to save us, there's too much politics. It's the game changers, you know, people that, you know, see the future differently, see humanity differently, you know. Tell me a little bit about, just move along, tell me a little bit about the fact, I heard that you're in a tent and you thought that the wind came up so strong that the tent was going to be blown away. Can you take me there? I want to be there with you. What happened?
Yeah. Listen, I knew the storm was coming.
Right.
My forecaster was a Belgian guy, and I've used him in the Sahara Desert, the Torres Strait, the Simpson Desert. So he's always very accurate with his forecast. So when he sent me a forecast through the email and said, you've got a significant storm coming, you need to prepare in the next 12 hours. Then the next email that came through was, this is a storm that could kill you. He'd upgraded it, and I could tell from the tone of his email he was really worried about my safety.
Right.
So I stopped and dug the tent in, built 2 big walls. The boobs were part of the front wall because they were a bit like a spoiler in a car
yes.
to try and push the wind over the tent. Because the major concern was that the tent would be ripped from the ice and with me in it become destroyed, and then within 4 hours you would succumb to hypothermia and die. And no one can get to you when the wind's blowing over 80 knots.
There's been no rescue.
There's no
The
rescue.
Russians wouldn't have enough time to get to you.
They're not going to get to you. No
Yep.
one's there. So the first 36 hours was horrendous. Every hour I had to get out and dig out the tent because so much snow is getting dumped on it. The tent is just blowing beyond what I thought fabric could handle. And I'm on the satellite phone to the manufacturers of the tent to find out what they've rated this tent for, and they admit that I'm right on the edge. If the wind goes another 10 knots stronger, then it's not going to happen. I'm gone. So it's, a very tense time. For the first 48 hours, I didn't sleep, didn't eat, because I was so busy trying to stay alive. Keep the tent secure and rebuilding the wall. But as soon as you got outside, the snow got forced into your goggles and you were blind. So you're feeling around trying to cut bricks and of ice and rebuild the wall to keep the wind going over the tent. But then, it's like everything in life. Everyone has storms. And this is a great story in that my authority to talk to people about being all in and committed to a project as an entrepreneur, it doesn't come from the good days. It comes from that storm.
Absolutely.
From the period where I thought it was all over. But to endure that and come out stronger and have character built, these are the secrets that, the Unstoppable Club is about.
It's all about that. It's all about that. What are you made of? What's your, what are you playing for, right? If you came to be on the planet for a little bit, right? What is truly your legacy, right? And I'm sitting with you right now when you said, man, this mental attitude is transferable and actually can teach. Automatically for me, I think, oh wow, I would love to then say, hey man, coach me. Let's do whatever it is that it takes, so I can compare my own mental attitude, my stay all in commitment, and my God, if I could amplify it, become sharper with that, I want it, right? And that's why we're putting Antarctica together, taking 117 people, putting them on a boat, right, at the edge of the planet. And then when people are in Antarctica, they start to realize that the planet's actually quite fragile, that our lives we are mortals, So I wonder what happened for people when they are, on their own, and be able to start to have these conversations. Am I all in? What am I pretending not to know about myself? That's what the whole Antarctica thing is about.
Oh, it's so exciting.
Yeah.
So exciting. Because Antarctica, and this is what I would love to get across to anyone watching this interview, is that Antarctica is a special place. So I call it Planet Antarctica because you go there and you feel like you've entered a new universe. It is so pristine, so clean, the air's cold, and there's no grey noise. The grey noise of life is gone.
Yes.
So to get there, it's so important, I think, in that environment to get some solo time. And that's something we'd love to be able to create down there. It's a time where every single expeditioner on this expedition, because I call it an expedition.
Oh yes, it's definitely an expedition, yes. It's not a luxury cruise in any way. It's an expedition of the soul.
It is.
For people that are already in business, right? People that want to be in business. There's older entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, people that know that within them, they're gonna bring it. That's how I want on a boat. I imagine people that have made millions of dollars, so they kind of know how the world works. And yet there are new people coming saying, no, this is how the future is going to shape up. And imagine if there could be a collaboration between, I'll give you ideas, you pump in the money to make the ideas happen. And because there are so many game changers. Imagine if you could be in Antarctica and start to realize among these 117 people here, I get to know myself, I get to be still and know, right? I get to connect with others that have already the call. Because everybody that's watching this interview, since we decided to do this, People thought I was crazy because I just went and booked the boat and said, we're doing it. So I called Quark and I said, will you do it? And he go, yeah, I never heard about such a thing. But it's amazing how the alignment, every single person we're talking to are saying, I'm in, this is so good. I think that people know that we're on the verge of many things, but how do I come and play? And what you and I are joining forces to do is to call people to become unstoppable.
Yeah, and there's no better environment to do that. Because, I mean, you could take a boat to a group of islands up through the Amazon, but there's just a lot of background noise. The thing with Antarctica, it removes the background noise. For entrepreneurs, it's going to create new ideas, it's going to create drive. You're going to get infected with this all-in mindset. And you're going to come out re-energized and ready for
let's talk about a little bit about re-energized. You were saying before that you go on holidays, you kind of come alive for a week, a month and a half, but you really believe that if you went to Antarctica, you may turn out on for a couple of years, don't you?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I always say, listen, a weekend away, or give me an hour with someone and I'll probably recharge them for a week. If they go on a holiday, you know yourself, your first day back's your worst day back, and you might be recharged for a month. But you go on an adventure or an expedition where your mindset is changed, you'll be recharged for 2 to 3 years.
Wow. In our previous conversation, you were so committed to this concept that you're actually going to start an extreme adventure company, right?
Yeah, the dream, Yulia, with this adventure company is we meet with individuals who have become bogged down. They're just bogged down in life, or, they might be high net worth individuals, they might be, all through the spectrum, but they become bogged down.
Yeah.
And I design with them something that's going to teach them a new skill and challenge them to the edge of their ability. And it doesn't have to be high risk. Everybody's adventure is different.
Yes.
For me, it was crossing Antarctica. For someone else, it might be a stand-up paddle down the Amazon for a week. Whatever we throw at them, it's going to push their particular levels and create this knowledge of their own ability and give me time to coach the all-in concepts.
All in. See, I notice, because we have clients from all walks of life, and I notice often that the very successful people, by definition, they stand alone, right? There's a few things that happens in their lives and their mental attitude that causes so much success to come, right? But so many other people don't have those. So I notice along the way that highly successful people, not lonely is not a good word, but that's where they go, right, naturally. And then what I notice even further is that these guys, sometimes they have a great lifestyle, family life is good, social life is good, but when they get plateaued at that success, it's almost as if the edge of their lives starts to get blurred or blunt. And every time that I meet somebody like that I say, hey, would you like to go extreme? You get normally 2 answers. Whoa, what are you talking about? Or yeah, bring me in. And if you're going to bring a company that will say to people, I don't care what level you are in fitness and so on, come on an expedition. Come and reconnect with yourself, reconnect with your purpose, reconnect with learning new skills. And I just can see already as people hang out together doing this, new relationships, new friendships, new possibilities will just start to emerge. So, man, I'm all in on your concept.
That's exciting.
I want to be there.
I think you're the translator on the Brazilian.
Oh yeah,
Amazon.
I am. Guys, if you come to the Amazon with us, I'll do some of the translation.
Perfect. So I mean, just this year alone, now we've got the wind-up for the Antarctic expedition with you.
Yes.
The wind-up for a Brazilian expedition in October on the Amazon. The first Australian team to stand up paddle the Amazon, which is phenomenal.
Man, guys, if you're watching this, you start to get the notion. Okay, we are going to put a bunch of kick-ass people in kick-ass places, so we can do kick-ass things.
Very exciting.
Yeah, that's just that.
But hey, winding back, as we touched on Antarctica as a place.
Yes.
But for me, I'm overjoyed to be able to go back there within 12 months of having crossed, because Antarctica and I battled for 53 days, and there were days where I hated the place.
Yes.
But by the end, I fell in love with Antarctica.
Yes.
And
just like any normal real relationship.
yeah,
right?
yeah, it was this relationship. But to be able to take a bunch of entrepreneurs from the Australian business community down there into that environment is so exciting. And I see what you've created here is a bit like a big brick being thrown into the pond of Australian business, and there's going to be a ripple effect
Yes.
from this boat.
Yes.
So exciting.
We see people being down there. I just imagine with the facilitators, the whole concept is put them together, go to Antarctica, the sense of wow, the sense of, my God, I am here for a purpose on the planet. And then the facilitators will start connecting people and perhaps put in front of them some real challenges of humanity, put in front of them some real opportunities that are coming upon us, and have these guys mingle, talk to each other, swap cards, swap lives, swap experiences, and so I say, so I can see when they come back, as soon as they get back into Australia, I can just see, as you say, the ripple effect of all the conversations that will happen. I see this as being, no one has ever done anything like that, right? Not that we know of. I don't want to claim I've been offensive if somebody else has done it, but when we were putting this together, we thought, no one's ever done it, So
And that's I mean, my whole adventure journey is always to find something that's not been done before, because
Yes.
there's so many things that haven't been done. So this is what's super exciting.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about the challenge, because I heard you lost a big portion of your food. Can you tell me a little bit about that? And,
and this story is amazing in that often when we are in a horrible valley in your life,
mm-hmm.
when you get out of that valley and look back, you can often see that it was actually the making of you. It was actually a mountain. And day 26, I lost 2 weeks worth of food, and I had everything mapped out to the day, because the sled was almost unbearably heavy at 180 kilos at the start, and I pulled 180 kilos up a 9,000 foot glacier to get to the start. And to lose 2 weeks worth of food, A, I'd put so many calories into getting the food to where I lost it, and B, it meant that I risked losing my unsupported status.
Yes.
And Borge Oosland, who held the record, was a very well organised Norwegian, and I cursed myself because I knew Borge would never lose food. And so I was cursing myself, but then it forced me to find reserves in myself that I never knew I had. I'd either lose
hold
the
on.
record.
Guys, listen to this. It forced myself to find reserves within that I didn't even know I had. And you went and found it.
And that's the story, really. For the first 4 days, I cut down my calories and then started to stagger and behave like a drunk man, make bad decisions.
Oh, I see, because not enough sugar, in the blood.
Yeah, just fatigued and not regenerating each night, not
Yes.
eating enough. So then I realised I was going to either get killed using that technique or have an injury that forced an extraction. So I went back to 6,000 calories a day.
Right.
And then started to realise I had to travel longer. So I travelled for 16 to 18 hours and then put the tent up, slept for 4, remembering it's a 24-hour light cycle, there's no night. So I could travel for 16 to 18 hours, sleep for 4, travel for 16 to 18 hours, sleep for 8, and
Yes.
then the next day do 16 to 18 hours, sleep for 4. So what we call burning the clock, so you're never really stopping. I did that for 10 full days and then approached the pole, and I'd made my 2 weeks back up.
Wow.
But it meant at that point I was in reach of the record because I was 44 days coming into the pole. It gave me another 20 days to do the last 1,100 kilometres, which I did in 5 days, 18 hours. So at that point I had beaten the record by 11 days. And that only happened because I'd had this horrible valley of losing the food.
So if you're in business right now and there's horrid things happening, there's perhaps this amazing conversation of, ugh, that may be just what will cause you to break whatever record.
Yeah, and
It's
where that character is built. And most people who succeed have been through multiple valleys. And if they
Yes.
look back and go, where did all my strength come from?
Yes.
It didn't come from the glory days where your profitability is through the roof, you've got growth, everything's doing well. It came from the days where you had to dig in and survive the storm and come out stronger.
How good is this, man? So when you got to the other end, where was the arrival when you got to the other end of the island? What was the point?
It's such a weird place, Julio, because you get to the edge of the continent and you're still another 100 kilometres of ice in front. But
All right.
if you drill down 2 kilometres,
Yes.
you'd hit rock on the edge of the sea.
I see.
So it was a GPS point on
Right.
my GPS,
Okay.
and there's not a sign, there's nothing, it's just a point.
Right.
And there was so much ice on my screen, I'm flying a kite, getting pulled by the wind, and I cleaned the screen and realised I'm 700 metres past the edge of the continent. I'm actually over the sea.
Wow.
So I dropped the kite, that was finished, rang my wife at home, said, it's done, I'm safe. Best phone call of my life.
Mate, I can just imagine the satisfaction of just making that phone call and say, we did it, baby, we did it. And I can also imagine how much pressure your wife went under, you know, the belief system for her as well, you know, because she had a lot to lose. You've been in there, right? So to receive that call, she would just be like,
Yeah, it was amazing. It was 2:32 on the coast in the morning, and she woke the kids up, and yeah, it was a beautiful time. It's just like a big weight coming off your shoulders, because so much can go wrong with a journey like that, and there was a lot of risk involved. But part of what we'll talk about in the Unstoppables Club is the right mental approach will secure the right result.
That's exactly right.
So exciting.
Yes. Hey guys, if you are watching this, here's the conversation. If you're watching this right now, it's because you are interested in being unstoppable. Chances are you have a very high entrepreneur DNA, let's put it that way, right? And as you listen to these conversations and you get permission to succeed and become awesome, other people get the permission from you. So many people be inspired by Geoff, and it is a privilege to have Geoff being part of the journey to Antarctica again in 2015. So guys, in 2015, January 2015, next January, 117 entrepreneurs will be landing on Antarctica on Australia Day. If you would like to be part of this, all you have got to do is to submit your form and apply to come. Guys, it's been great hanging out with you. It's been a privilege having you here today, Geoff. Guys, if you want some more of this and see that we're going to bring it, just come to Antarctica with us. We are the Unstoppables. Thank you so much, man.
Very exciting.
Beautiful. All right.
Thank you.